Welcome, everybody. This is Dan Hessey, and I'm in Boulder, Colorado. I just drove down from Shambhala Mountain Center, and I'm communicating to you electronically from far, far away. And I'm delighted we're here together, either in real time or as you're watching it in a recorded way. We're just going to spend a few minutes talking about meditation practice and how it works with our life, why do it, and what it is. I did want to mention that the upcoming Weektun at the New York Shambhala Center, which starts on the 19th, is both offering a weekend option, which is the 19th, 20th, and 21st. I think the 19th is a Friday, so you'd come that evening. And then the 20th and the 21st, as well as single days. And you can get in touch with the center and see all of these, the pricing and time and all of that sort of stuff, location, on their website. So I invite you to jump right in and see what works in your schedule. I know that in New York, things move at a pretty slow pace. People don't have much to do, so I don't expect there'll be any problem with people taking a week off. That was a little Colorado humor. So let's talk a little bit about meditation practice. You know, these days it's becoming clear that meditation is used by many people for many reasons. They have very many different ways of framing what their practice is for. And one of the common ways of framing practice is mindfulness, but especially this sort of technological mindfulness that is aimed toward optimizing one's performance, or of making yourself more present and aware for the purposes of getting stuff done. And you see that all sorts of organizations, from corporations to even the US Army and the Marine Corps, are teaching mindfulness for these kinds of purposes. And indeed, if you want to learn to play violin or become an attorney or a physician, you have to have mindfulness. You have to be able to put your attention on an object and keep it there long enough to actually make a relationship with that object, whether that object is a particular note that you're holding in tune, or for that matter, something you're studying, or if you're doing an operation as a physician. It's the same principle, that mindfulness is a natural part of our life. And in fact, we're always using mindfulness. Whenever we place our attention on anything, for instance, you're looking at your screen right now. Hopefully you're not looking at your email simultaneously. But as you're looking at your screen, that's a form of mindfulness. So that is a technique that is taught in all Buddhist schools and also in most disciplines of any kind. There's this ability to rest our mind on an object of meditation or contemplation without wavering. So in that sense, that's a skill or a strength that can be developed, but the context in which it is developed is really, really important. In an interesting sense, we don't need another technology to make us feel more claustrophobic about who we are. And you could actually think of mindfulness that way if it were used improperly, that now you can't even relax enough to let your mind wander, and because at all times you're sort of berating yourself or hassling yourself to keep your attention on whatever task seems to be at hand. So I'd like to talk about mindfulness in a greater context, and this is a context that has been part of Buddhist meditation for a long time, which is the quality of making friends with ourselves. And making friends with ourselves is a big, important project, because if we don't actually make friends with ourselves, then all of the practices that come in the future are undermined by our basic sense of unworthiness and basic sense of liking some parts of ourselves and not liking others. So when we say making friends with ourselves, it has a couple of parts, doesn't it? It has one part, which is becoming familiar with all of the things we feel, think, and perceive. And that sense of familiarity, you think, well, I've been in this body for however many years. Of course, the body is always changing, but I think we know what we're talking about, is that I've been inhabiting this stream of consciousness and body and life that's been going on for a long time. Why wouldn't I be familiar with all the things that I am, or that make up my sense of who I am, more accurately? And the reason for that, you could say, is that we don't have equanimity, that we have strong reactionary tendencies toward some feelings, and in that we would like to grasp or hold on to them, and other feelings we'd like to push them away. And this leads to a sort of reactionary ping pong ball of the mind that is constantly sort of seeking out. You can imagine a bloodhound seeking a trail, you know, the mind is seeking out pleasurable and interesting states of mind and perceptions. That I like mints. I have mints in my car, and whenever I get bored, I find myself reaching for my mint, and I put it in my mouth, and I have my mint experience, and I like my mint experience. And that's sort of an unconsciously being drawn to a sense perception, in this case, a taste, or a minty taste. Or a minty fresh taste, or one could go on. So the likewise, we have memories and feelings that we have a almost visceral reaction against, especially if you've experienced any kind of trauma, that when certain kind of feelings arise, and they could be physical feelings or situational feelings, that we close down, we shut down. We react very strongly in a fight or flight protectionist way. So all of this being drawn toward things unconsciously and reacting against things unconsciously, and then ignoring a tremendous amount of our sensoria, a tremendous amount of what it is to be here now, in this body, in this moment. We just sort of take for granted, and we pay no attention to it. We sort of you know, it's neither for us or against us, so we just leave it be. When we practice meditation, not from the point of view of sharpening ourselves for the sake of sharpening alone, but for the sake of stabilizing our attention and the relationship between the mind and body, by placing the attention on the breath, for instance. It wouldn't have to be the breath, but very often that's the object of meditation. We create an environment in which our sense of reactivity is relaxed. And that environment is one of fundamental trust and friendliness. And you say, well, what is it I am trusting in? I'm trusting in the fact that I can rest my mind without being reactive, and I can experience the smell of coffee and, coffee and hot cross buns coming in the window of the New York Shambhala Center. And I'm not going to feel like I have to get up and go get myself a cup of coffee and a hot cross bun. And likewise, when my ex-girlfriend or boyfriend walks into the shrine room and we have not exactly resolved all our issues, I can feel all those feelings coming up and not have to freak out and leave the room. That kind of equanimity goes far. And what it does is that it takes a very rocky mental landscape, reactionary and full of obstacles and sort of chutes and ladders, the normal way we go through the day, of constantly finding ourselves going to the next object of enjoyment and away from the previous thing that was disappointing, that we find we can actually be. We can actually take our seat and rest. And that quality of restfulness is not quite optimizing in the sense of some of the mindfulness techniques that you see. It more has a sense of genuineness and truth-telling and the ability to be in your own skin. That kind of friendliness changes everything, quite frankly. So let's do a few exercises here. And I know Ashley is going to send me some questions from last time as well. But let's do couple of quick meditative exercises. And the first one will be to, in whatever seat you're in, take as good a posture as your situation allows. And let's just sit for a couple of minutes and feel our breath. Please don't try to suppress your thoughts. Whatever kind of thinking is going on is absolutely fine. But to the extent you can, become embodied and feel your body breathing, the breath. So we'll come into this present moment using the body as an anchor and the breath as a flag, you could say. We'll do this for about 2 or 3 minutes. So as we slow down, we realize there's a whole world of sensoria, sense perceptions. There's a whole universe going on that we've been sort of speeding past. I certainly was when I was talking. That now is slightly available to us. So now, just as a very simple exercise, pick one thing that you're experiencing that you feel drawn toward or appreciative of. And then notice one thing that when you feel it, it feels slightly problematic. I'll give you an example. I'm sitting in a room and the window's open and it's a little warm. So when there's a breeze, I feel like, ooh, nice. And right where my neck meets my skull, I feel slightly stiff. So whenever I notice that, I go, uh-oh. So just notice some of the feelings you have and then the slight reactivity that goes with them. feel free to type in some examples in the chat box of things that you were attracted to or that you're repelled by. I'd be very interested to see what the range of experience is. As we relax more, and it's almost like a process of getting bored, no longer too much of a project, that we'll find our internal commentary gradually relaxes. At first, just coming in to sit, it's like a waterfall, just like all over the place. But we might actually feel, this quality of being in our body. And as we have more equanimity, less push me, pull you with our experience, our sense of awareness and presence grows. You know, the sense of friendliness, someone sent a good question. You mentioned friendliness, but sometimes meditation doesn't feel very friendly. How can we cultivate kindness toward ourselves with practice? That is an essential, important question. That's really, really important. And so much of Shambhala meditation is centered around how we develop a sense of decency and worthiness and friendliness toward ourselves. But shamatha meditation can work that way as well. It depends a lot on your view. If you regard meditation as a way of fixing or improving yourself, the process of mindfulness can be seen like a constant critique, as if you had a sort of a nagging person constantly critiquing for you. Oh, your mind, you started thinking about things. Your mind's not on your breath. No, back, no. It drives you crazy. And that kind of approach of badgering yourself is not useful. Very interestingly, Trungpa Rinpoche talked about this, and when he discussed the 4 foundations of mindfulness in the 1973 Hinayana Mahayana seminary transcripts, and he said that if you try and hold a conceptual idea of your meditation in place as you're meditating, the whole thing stays conceptual. So there has to be a deeper kind of relaxation where you notice that your mind naturally returns to its native state in the present moment. And rather than trying to force or herd your mind into the present moment, you go along with its natural capacity to drop whatever preoccupation it has and return to the present moment. So this issue of friendliness is going to be a principal topic in our weekend. We're going to work with it conceptually, interpersonally with each other, and in terms of our contemplation and meditative practice. Because in my experience, when you start to get what you might call the right end of the stick, that you start to practice meditation from the point of view of friendliness and appreciation, then all sorts of things, a lot of obstacles become path and no longer seem like obstacles in the same way. So this will be a major part of our contemplation. Another question that came up is, what do you do with physical pain, especially during a longer retreat? I firmly believe that that sort of self-abnegation and just gutting it out is counterproductive. So there has to be a sense of intelligence and feeling that anyone who meditates experiences some level of discomfort, that especially when our body isn't used to sitting still. At the very least, you get what I call the yips. You feel like like that. But there's other situations where people have a physical situation. It could be in your knee, or it could be in your back, or lots of different things. And those have to be taken into account. And some of the ways we do that is by not having sitting sessions that are too long, or if someone needs to move during a sitting session, that's accommodated with a smile on their face, as well as being able to sit in a chair. And in more extreme cases, you can even lie down, though that's not optimal. So sitting in a chair If you have good meditation instruction, it's just as good as sitting on a cushion. So the answer is it's a human problem. It's not a one-size-fits-all answer, and that we work with it in a way that works for who you are and what works for you, so that you're able to meditate and not have to force yourself into a uncomfortable situation that's going to undermine your ability to be present and develop a sense of warmth and friendliness toward yourself. In terms of preparing for the retreat next week, if you have a regular meditation practice, just continue with that a regular meditation practice. In other words, if it's something that you do on a regular basis, if not every day, just continue with that. There's no big running start required for the Riktun. The Riktun itself will be, a journey in and of itself. If you wanted to read Turning the Mind into an Ally, I think that's a great idea. Any of the Sakyang's books, Ruling Your World or the Shambhala Principle, all of those will be sort of soaked with the energy and view that we'll be sharing together during the Riktun. So those will be fun. Those will sort of tune you up with the basic approach we're going to be taking. And if you don't practice regularly, then try sitting, and I'll give a short meditation instruction now. Try sitting, but not for too long, just for long enough to, say, 5 to 10 minutes on a daily basis, so you start to feel out what this might be like. So probably that's a good opportunity for me to give a simple meditation instruction that you can engage in over this next week. So it'll be in 3 parts, the first part of which is good posture. And what good posture means, I'm sitting in a chair, or you could be sitting on a cushion, is that it's basically erect. You're not sitting back into your chair. You're not slumping. Maybe your chin is in just slightly so your neck is straight. And your eyes are open and lowered slightly, and your mouth is slightly open. So you're breathing through your nose and your mouth. And you just breathe. Your hands are on your thighs in a comfortable manner. And you just breathe naturally. That means if you've just run up the stairs, naturally means you're panting. And if you're a little sleepy, it means your breath is really slow. Either way, you don't have to manipulate your breath to be some special way. And we use the breath as a reference point, what we call the object of meditation. And we very gently, and when I say gently, what I really mean to say is gently. And another way of saying that is gently. You gently put your attention on the breath, and as the breath goes in and out. You're not trying to shut down your sense perceptions. You see what you see with a soft gaze. You hear whatever you're hearing. And of course, there's little thoughts going on in your mind. And if you've had a busy day, maybe big thoughts are going on in your mind. The idea is that you gently keep returning to the breath. But please, please don't regard the thoughts as an enemy. They're not. They're just the natural turbulence that comes from having a day. And by acknowledging them and coming back to the breath, we find ourselves embodied. Let's do that for a few minutes. Good. So that sense of settling, in that working with your breath, of course, you're going to experience all sorts of physical sensations, emotions, thoughts, and sense perceptions, all of those. And all of those are part of what we're meditating. In other words, that's part of the meditating body, you might say. And we're using the breath as a way of stabilizing so we can experience the whole panoply of perceptions and all of that with a sense of stability and relaxation. Now, obviously, if you do the 9 stages of shamatha, or when we do visualization practice, or when we do Shambhala meditation, we would be emphasizing different things, and there would be different processes that we bring to bear. But this very simple meditation is a wonderful place to start on a daily basis. And of course, during the week, we'll have a chance to go into more depth with all of this. So I'm looking forward to seeing as many of you as are able to join us at the Weektun. I think New York's a wonderful place to practice, that it brings all the energy of the whole world into one place. And so when we practice with an open heart, it rings a large bell. So it'll be wonderful to be with you soon. And I think this will be conclude our pre-Weektun classes. I think this is our last one. And please be in touch with the center to get all of the details you need about how to take part in the Weektun, if that's something that you're inspired to do and that your schedule allows. Until then, all my best wishes from Boulder, Colorado, 1 mile high. You'll be happy to know. All right. Talk to you soon.